He didn't know, but he said this. But I know this. This is the one definitive statement he says. But I know this. I was blind, and now I can see. Right? We have an incredible opportunity that we get to share in the testimony of what God is doing in our life by just telling others about it. And I think one of the ways that the devil tries to silence us is by telling us that we don't know enough, or that, we're not a very good speaker. No one would listen to us. We just don't know enough about Jesus, so it's not even worth opening the can of worms. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. Right? This man knew nothing about Jesus, but was able to give an incredible testimony that caused many who saw him to be full of faith. And so we get the privilege of doing the same thing. And we shouldn't be surprised when God does a work in our life and it makes us unrecognizable. Right? The crowd that was watching this were confused if this really was the blind man, because he was unrecognizable. Right? It's incredible. And so when God does something in us, he heals us in the mind, in the body, in our situations. It's okay if it takes people a little bit of time to realize that, no, we are really changed. We are really different. We're really that the same. I'm still Nicole, but I'm a healed Nicole now. And it's okay that I look 180 degrees different than I used to. Right? And so we have that privilege to live out our witnesses, even when we're really, really new to the faith. And the last point in this I want to encourage us is it's okay, and don't be surprised when people discredit your testimony. We see that really, really clearly in this text by a couple different people, right? We see the people who knew the blind man growing up saying, I don't know, this just looks like that guy. That's not the guy that used to sit and beg. This just looks like him, right? Discrediting that he really was who he says he was. We see the discrediting happening by the Pharisees, trying to trap Jesus and saying, well, he healed him on the Sabbath and he shouldn't do that, right? Trying to cause and undermine the testimony of Jesus' miraculous work. We see the Pharisees, right, in this dialogue with the man who was healed, say, well, what are you trying to teach us? You were born a total sinner, right? And so it's okay if it ruffles the feathers of even good Christian people when God does something really bold in our life, because it might. And so maybe you're like, I've been going to church with her for 20 years, and this new her, I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure, right? Or someone in your family. I've known them my whole life, and they said God did this, but we'll wait and see. We'll give them the 3-month trial period and see if they, say a cuss word. We're so silly like that. And what we maybe don't even realize is that we're undermining the work of what God is doing because we're preoccupied with trying to rationalize the supernatural. And so the last unfortunate undermining that happened in this guy's story was from his own parents. Did you catch that? His parents were afraid of being punished in the synagogue, and so they threw their son under the bus. And they tried to hide why they were throwing their son under the bus, right? They said, well, he's old enough. He can speak for himself. But then the text tells us the truth. And the text tells us in verse 22, his parents said this because they were afraid of the Jewish leaders who had announced that anyone saying Jesus was the Messiah would be expelled from the synagogue. And that's why they said, he's old enough, ask him. Can I be honest that it's even those closest to us that may discredit our testimony? And that's so painful, right? It hurts when it's people close. And I think sometimes we say things like, I never expected it from them. Maybe you felt that. And that's hard, to be honest, right? It's so hard. But the beautiful thing is that the testimony of Jesus Christ healing this blind man is being proclaimed here today, thousands of years later. The testimony of Jesus Christ was not robbed, right? And so all that was done to try and undermine and cause doubt, this morning we're reading this text and it's birthing faith. And so trust that regardless of how people treat you post your testimony, as you continue to live in your Christian life and God continues to do great things in you and through you, that if you're doing it right, you're going to get mixed reviews, right? You're going to have people really happy for you, and you're going to have people who just can't believe it. And that's okay. Because what we care about is that God gets the glory, and he has. And as we live out, right, what God is doing in us, as we yield to him healing us and healing people in our life, we will get to give God the glory, despite what anyone says, whether we've known Jesus for a long time or not. Amen.